Hello from AlphaCars in our Boxborough location. We're in our high-tech automotive service facility. This particular shop is where we do late model vehicle service repairs, and we have another shop right behind this wall where we do restorations, tire and wheel repairs, reconditioning, and many other things, including motorcycle service. Today we're doing this video to talk about not specifically an IMS bearing and how to replace it. There are great videos, guys done a great job on YouTube, not to mention LN Engineering company. They have phenomenal resources on their website. So we're not going to dive into how to replace it. What we'd like to talk about today is we're doing this job, we do many of them. Today we're working on a 2001 Porsche 911 and very common IMS bearing inspection and upgrade from single row to dual row. And what's important, and we've seen customers that had that done, and somehow some of the important adjacent parts or parts that had to be removed anyway, or parts that are very close to be removed, have not been inspected and or replaced. So we would like to show you what should be looked at during this particular service. Let's take a closer look. First of all, we'll just quickly show you a work area of one of our technicians who works on this vehicle. He's done many of this. We're completely and totally paperless. Here's the great website of the IMS retrofit by LN Engineering. We're a big fan of theirs. They've done a great job. We use their parts. We have their great tools, which we have right here. And these are beautifully machined. Just take a look at it. We're going to do a little advertising for our friends at this great company. Phenomenal work. We've done a lot of bearings with them, and tools hold up great. Let's get a closer look to the vehicle itself. We have the carb on the lift, and our technician already removed the transmission, and we were able to perform inspection of adjacent components. And why we specifically selected to look at this vehicle. This vehicle has relatively low mileage. I believe it has, Dan, what does it have for mileage?
60,000?
Yeah, close to around 60,000 miles. Clutch on this vehicle felt absolutely phenomenal. No shaking, no vibrations, nice and smooth engagement, early engagement. So there were no indications that the clutch would need to be replaced. There were no oil leaks anywhere from the engine or transmission. So now we have the transmission out of the vehicle, and we performed inspection of these parts. I'm going to get a flashlight. So we're looking, obviously, this is a new flywheel, and this is the flywheel that we removed from the vehicle. So you can notice there are heat spots on the flywheel. Overall, the flywheel does not have any, the damper or any of the parts are still intact, and looks like a good solid flywheel. If you put your hand on these spots, you would feel very little to no difference in the smoothness of that area. It is obviously always nice to put a new part, which we have next to this vehicle. It will give the vehicle owner the longest operation, and this particular customer selected to do that. But this particular part, that the existing one potentially could have lasted, we don't know exactly how long, but it certainly was totally functional. You can see the disc in decent condition. Rivets are getting, you can see the depth of the recessed depth of the rivet versus recessed depth of the rivet in this area. You can certainly see the wear. You can obviously measure it and compare new to old one, but you can also see right there. So replacement of the disc for this car would be warranted, and again, this particular customer He would be keeping this car. He plans on keeping this car for a very long time, and he wanted to do the maximum amount of work in the area with transmission removed, not to have to go back. So we're doing a pressure plate with the disc. We will be replacing the flywheel, and with the flywheel out, we're going to show you, we already pulled the old rear main seal. This is the seal that came out from the engine. I asked the technician to keep this little screw there. Many people would say, wow, what is it? What is it doing there? It's just a small trick we're going to share with you to neatly remove the seal. What we do, the seal has a metal structure in here with a little bit of rubber on top. We drill a tiny small pilot hole, and then you could use any sheet metal screw with a nice wide washer, and you just drive it in there, basically just one thread so it catches, and then you're able to pull the seal out. That way you don't have to pry it and potentially gouge into adjacent aluminum surfaces. So that's a nice and clean way of doing it, but you need to be very careful when drilling not to let the drill bit go too far. We do have the seal out. I think we have the new one in. We're going to take a look at it. And over here, we have the transmission that came out. This car has manual transmission, obviously. We already have a new throw-out bearing. We inspected the sleeve, and it didn't have any wear. The surfaces were in very, very nice and very clean. So we applied proper lubrication, and we installed the throw-out bearing. There was also a pivot point here for the clutch fork, and it's important to inspect that to make sure that surface is nice and smooth. Apply just enough of proper lubrication, and we actually have this transmission ready to go. Let's take a look at the engine side of this job. So we'll start from just showing this general area. We have the transmission out. We do have the tool plate already installed here, and you can see the threaded surface, so the bearing was already removed. We'll be installing new dual row bearing, and the housing cap is going to go back in place. We can already see a new seal installed, nice and neat. And then, of course, prior to installation, reinstallation of the transmission, some of the other adjacent areas we would inspect. I'm sure our technician already did that. That is a great access to some of the evap system hoses, so that would be a great time to check all that in the back of the motor. I believe we're doing a couple things on this engine. I'm not familiar, I'm not handling this job, but we just thought we would do this cool video. We're also going to show you the parts that were removed. You can see the splash shields, the brackets, cross bracing. We had to discharge and remove air conditioning compressor, which is situated right there. It's going to go back in, and we needed to do that because we needed to remove one of the chain tensioners, and to get access to that one, I believe it's one on this side, we had to gain that access, we had to remove the compressor. So with all that said, we hope that you enjoyed this video from AlphaCars in Boxborough, Massachusetts, from our shop. If you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to give us a call. And thank you very much for spending your time with us.